VIRGO November 2015 with Milada from Astrolada, where you can find out your ascendant sign, your moon sign, your sun sign. Everyone knows their sun sign. If they're born in September, they're usually a Virgo. But make sure you check also your ascendant sign if you know your exact time of birth within 10-15 minutes the most, because the ascendant sign tends to be very precise, gives you more detail and tangible events that happen. And the moon as well, especially for women, can be strongly predictive, the moon sign, because the moon shows the emotional world of someone, and women act more from the inner world, from the heart center. Okay, so what's happening for Virgos in November 2015? 14th, whew, I'm rushing ahead a year. Okay, so what is the strongest influence? There are two trends that are happening. The first one is that quite a few planets, 4 planets, will be triggering your third house, the third house of communications, of information, of changing, exchanging information, receiving, giving information. So a lot of important news can come to you. Important, pieces of information, which can be like finding the puzzle, the piece of a puzzle that was missing, that can help you get things started, or some of you, third house rules, learning new skills. Some of you might have a very productive period in November if they're learning any new skills, whether it's playing the piano, whether it's, learning to drive, whether it's learning to use a laptop, or learning a new system of management, or anything which requires learning new skills will be kind of intensified, and you tend to get things moving there and get really good results. Some of you might decide to start learning such new things. So it's very auspicious time for that. So I'm telling you, it's the green light, go for it. Some of you might feel inspired to, to maybe even learn a new language, or to, this is, in more extreme cases, but the more usual effect of this transit, having a few planets in your third house, is increased communication. Your phone will be ringing much more, creating new contacts with people. If you have some negotiations, some conversations that are happening that are important, now they can start moving forward. Because in October in particular, Mercury, your planet, was moving backwards, which is like going back and revisiting, and maybe negotiations and conversations needing more detail or stalling back. And now Mercury starts moving again forward in November, so things get untangled and you start seeing the results of your hard work for the previous couple of months, and important contacts appear in your life, associates. You might attract right now people, third house rules, playmates, associates, teammates. You might be called to work in a team with others. Do it, because this is, you cooperate, the energies of the stars will cooperate with you and will help you. If you have some important problem to solve, brainstorm with others in a group, and not with another, with a few other associates. And for example, whenever I have my third house activated, it's always like so many emails from social, social media, so many contacts, so many people calling me. If you're especially in some kind of career which involves media, which involves communication, which involves teaching, information, which is so many of those careers, which involves administrative work, which involves papers, which involves writing or speaking in some way or presenting in some way, this becomes a very hectic and usually very productive period for them, because so many planets are moving there, triggering things, It might not be as easy. You might have to make an effort because Saturn is there and it's the planet of obstacles, but you'll be able to overcome some of those obstacles that you had in communications, that you had before in dealings with other people, with associates, with teammates, with brothers and sisters, neighbors as well, is ruled by the third house. Important developments there with such people. Also travel. Third house is the house of traveling, moving around. So people tend to all of a sudden have much more traveling to do. It might be connected to work, it might be connected to other things, but like, for example, if you usually go to work and come back, all of a sudden you might have to do a few other trips around, or you have to go to town much more often, or you just have to go on a trip somewhere out of town. So watch those tendencies, So it's a fantastic time for learning new skills, for developing new skills, for honing your skills, for gaining new contacts, gaining more, even making yourself more, not so much popular, but almost like advertising, like getting in touch with people, creating networks of people around you, spreading the word somehow. This is third house, you know, the house of communication. And you just get more involved with the world. You become more curious. Third house is the house of Gemini. It's connected to this energy. So you Virgos, you already are, you know, kind of quite mind-focused people, quite focused in the mind. But now it will be like you become a bit more playful as well, because third house is the house of games, is the house of, you know, of competitors. It's one of the houses of competitors. So there might be more competition, you know, like siblings is the house of siblings, brothers, sisters, teammates. They all are competitors in some way. So you might be involved more in activities with such people. And third house is the house of self-initiation, self-started projects. So people who are in business, or people who are in a career and they want to impress, or they have an idea about some project, but they haven't had the courage to do it till now. Now can be the time when you really initiate some new things, when you get the courage, because third house in ancient astrology rules courage. You know, the courage to go there, to compete, the courage to initiate something. So it's very auspicious for certain new beginnings. Not all Virgos will do that, but a lot who have already ideas or who want to start something, this can be a very positive time for them to do it, or people who are in their own business. So, you know, it's a very good time for networking, for making connections with people, for any kind of communications, informations, working on intellectual projects, working on projects which require the rational part of the brain. Your brain becomes more alert, more clever, more sparky in a sense. And making networks again. Stop repeating yourself. And there is another trend happening as well, which is that Mars goes into your Mars goes into your, which house is it? Your fifth house, yes. Mars goes into your fifth house, so another more extrovert house, and it's going to be there the whole of November. And actually it's a good position for Mars, because fifth house is the house of shining forth, is the house of being playful, is the house of romance, and Mars energizes this house. Mars very much responds well to this energy, so you become a bit more competitive again. You see how kind of those third and fifth house have a bit of similar energy sometimes. So you might be invited to more parties, to be more active and proactive with some amusements, because fifth house rules amusements, theater, going to cinema, going to more fun activities, especially if they're more like active activities, like dancing. Some of you might have a bit more dancing, you know, or go to a few parties, or maybe go to sports days, you know, with teammates. Or if you have children, you might be much more vigorously and physically involved with those children, playing around, you know, helping them in some way solve problems, because Mars is a problem-solving planet. And fifth house rules the children, so your children might be a bit more rebellious at this time, have a bit more clash of opinions and ideas, because Mars is this very opinionated planet, and your children become like that. There might be some conflicts with your children, but at the same time, you can solve those, and you can move, and you can solve them logically in some way, you know, creatively. And you can have also, it energizes the heart chakra, because fifth house rules romance and dating, being childlike and shining, and, you know, being center of attention. This is when a person starts attracting romance, and you can be a little bit more wild this month, more adventurous. Definitely for Virgos is more adventurous month, full of more communications, being with people, having calls all the time. This third house, you know, people inviting them out and here and there. And fifth house, the house of fun and playing and romance. You know, you can be more proactive in such activities. But Mars requires action. So if you want a few dating opportunities, or if you want some romantic experience, you have to initiate them yourself in a sense. Okay. Let's see what else is happening. I think that's the most important things. Oh yeah, towards the end of November, on the 26th, maybe a couple of days before, a couple of days after the 26th of November, Mercury, which is you, which is the planet that rules you, joins in the sky with Saturn, the planets of hard work and responsibilities and testing. So for quite a few Virgos, It might be, you know, more of a testing time where they have more responsibilities, when they feel like there is more pressure on their shoulders, more demands, maybe a clash with an authority figure, because Saturn is this hard taskmaster and it joins with your planet and it says, you shall do this, or I want this from you. Or if it's not an outside influence, it's you yourself who push yourself harder in some way, or do some important job, because Saturn rules, you know, responsibility, work, duties. So you become more dutiful. You can get done a few important jobs or a few important things around that time connected to work. But overall, your tonus might feel a bit lowered, because Saturn is an energy which brings down the vibration of whatever it joins, and it joins you, it joins Mercury, so it might make you a bit more morose, a bit more durable, a bit more hard on yourself, or critical of yourself and others. So if you feel around that time like that, don't worry, it's temporary. Just be as responsible as possible, because Saturn requires this of you. If you're frivolous, if you're irresponsible, if you don't pay attention to details, if you're not like hardworking, it can be a more testing influence for you, and it can create some troubles for you. But if you're diligent, and if you're not opportunistic, Saturn doesn't like opportunism, yes, people who try to take advantage of easier situations. Saturn doesn't like that, but if you try to do it the hard way, the tested way, the traditional way, taking the long but tested path, then Saturn will reward you around that time with some well-done job, some well-executed job, or overcome problem. But if you take the easy way, you know, you might either feel bad about it and self-critical, or it just might come somehow backfire. So this is for you, Gemini. Sorry, not Gemini. Virgo. This is for Virgo. This is for you, Virgo, for November 2014.